try doing a lesson the old-fashioned way on the whiteboard. It's easier for me to teach this way, and since you couldn't hear me the other way, this might be the only way to do it. This is lesson 109. This is advanced trinomial factoring. This is complicated yet fun at the same time, so hopefully you guys will find this fun. This is what we used to do. These are easy trinomial factors. You'll notice that there's no coefficient but 1 in front of the x squared term. That's why it's easy. So let's just review how to do this. So we make two sets of parentheses. We say what times what gives me x squared. Whoops. The x times x. And then we say what times what gives me 6, but when I subtract them, because of the negative sign, I get negative 1, because that's what would be in front of here. So I would get negative 3 plus 2. Remember, if the sign's negative, it means that it's different. Signs are different. So I have a plus and a minus. What times what gives me 6? It's 3 times 2. What if I subtract them, I'm going to get negative 1. You could always check these by foiling, so you get x squared, outer would be 2x, inner is negative 3x, last is minus 6, and then these add up to minus x. So you get what you started with. Alright, let's go on to our advanced factoring. First of all, if you look at this, you notice that it's not the exponent does not go in descending order. So the first thing you want to do is look for that and put it in the right order so that the exponent is descending. So this one, the x squared term, would go first. Minus 7x minus 15. So first thing I did is I rearranged it. The next thing you want to do is look to see if there's anything common that you can factor out, and there's nothing common, so I'm going to go into our trinomial factoring. So we're just going to break it into two binomials. And already we're going to have some serious problems with these. Just bear with me. So just like up here we said what times what gives me x squared, here we're going to say what times what gives me 2x squared. And the only answer to that is 2x times x. That's the easy part. Now, this is where it gets a lot more complicated. We're going to say what times what gives me 15, but it's not so simple to say when we subtract them we get 7, because we have this as a little problem there. So what you're going to do is think of different factors for 15. So we're either going to have 3 times 5 or 1 times 15. Those are the only two factors. So we're going to put those in these two blanks, and it's just trial and error. The more you do it, the more you'll be able to do it quicker. So I'm going to take this first one. It's usually not the 1 times the number, but not always. So I'm going to just put my 3. I'm just going to be random here and put my 5 there. Now here's the difference. We have to check the outer. Just like in FOIL, the outer and the inner gives us the middle. We have to check the outer and the inner. So if we do the outer, we're going to get 10x. And if we do the inner, we get 3x. And I got really lucky there. Because if we subtract them, it's still the subtraction thing, we're going to get 7x. So now you have to determine where to put the plus sign, where to put the minus sign. Well, we want the 10 to be negative because we wanted negative 7x. So the 2 times 5 is what gives us the 10, and this needs to be positive. So we kind of checked it by FOIL just by trying to see if the number worked, but you can do it all over again by FOIL. First would be 2x squared. Outer is minus 10x. Inner is plus 3x. And last is minus 15. And you can see negative 10x plus 3 gives us negative 7x. So these are a lot of trial and error until you get really good at them. Just note here, the last sign was negative, so the signs are different. Just keep that in mind. Okay, let's move to example 2. This one's already in order, so that makes it easier. And these numbers are small, so that makes it easier too. So here we go. We make two sets of parentheses. What times what gives me 3x squared? Well, only one answer. 3x times x. What are the factors of 2? Well, there's only one answer for that one, 2 and 1. Let me just randomly put them in place. I might get this wrong, and it might be wrong on purpose. So if I put a 2 here and a 1 here, I just randomly, you could put these either order. You could put a 2 here and a 1 here, or a 1 here and a 2 here. However, when you have a coefficient in front of your x squared term, only one of these combinations is going to be right. So I'm going to check my outer, and I get 6x, and my inner, I get 1x. Is there any way from 6x and 1x that I could subtract them to get an x? No. So we know that's wrong. So we need to erase these and rearrange them. Trial and error. 2 and 1. Let's try that. Our outer would be 3x. Our inner is 2x. And if we subtract them, we are going to get an x. We'd still subtract them here. We want the bigger one to be negative, so I'm going to put the negative here and the positive here. So we get negative 3x plus 2x equals negative x is what we have. So this is a trial and error process. Let's do this one. This one's a little bit more complicated. That one was easy because there's only one set of factors. Someday you're going to have more than one set of factors for this one and for this one, and it's going to be a lot of trial and error. So here we go. 2 sets of parentheses. What times what gives me 5x squared? Well, 5x times x. What times what gives me 6? Well, we have 2 times 3 or 6 times 1. We just randomly pick one, whatever one you want to do. So say I pick 2 times 3. I'm just going to guess around here. I'm not trying to be right, but I am right again. So if we do, we're going to subtract them again. If we do the outer, we get 15x. The inner, we get 2x. And the last sign says we're going to subtract them, so we're going to get 13x, and that happens to be right. So we want the bigger one to be negative. So I need the outer was the one that has to be negative, and the inner has to be positive. All right, a couple more. That's all the book gave you for examples, but I use these are from even problems in your book. So this one needs to be put into order first. So we get 2x squared plus 10x plus 8. This one's easy because it's all positive numbers, and I should see if I copied this right out of the book. I think I did. Like I said before, you want to look for something common that you can take out. This is a cheap example. So take a 2 out, so we get x squared plus 5x plus 4. And look what happens. This is a simple one. This is the easy kind. So we just do 2 sets of parentheses. What times what gives me x squared? What times what gives me 4? When I add them together, I get 5 because there's no coefficient here. So we get 4 and 1. Both signs are plus, and that one was easy. Bummer. All right, last problem. We need to put this guy in order. So we're going to get 2x squared plus 7x minus 15. And we do our 2 sets of parentheses. What times what gives me 2x squared? Well, 2x times x. What times what gives me 15? Well, we have 1 times 15 and 3 times 5. And I already told you, they don't use this one as much, especially when the number's big. So I'm going to go with the 3 and 5. I'll just put them in, 3 and 5. The signs are going to be different, so we're going to subtract. So I'm going to check at 10 and 3. I can't be wrong when I try to be. And we want this time for it to be positive. So we want this one to be positive, this one to be negative to get 7x. So we want the 10 to be positive, so the outer has to be positive and the inner has to be negative. So that's it for advanced trinomial factoring. We can go over this more in class if you don't get it. It's just trial and error. You have to try and you're going to err.